So I play on controller. I play on flip, so I have this on. Vibration, you can turn it off if you want to turn it off. I also play on tactical, so I have tactical flip on here. Now, if you go down to dead zone inputs, I play on lower dead zones. Now, you can kind of see the graph here. You can mess around with it, you know, especially when you do a left stick max, you can see it go up and down. And this is really nice, especially for your left stick. So if you want to improve your movement and you want your movement to be more fluid, you want to have your dead zones lower. It doesn't really matter if you have stick drift on your left stick. It doesn't really move. So my left stick minimum is at 1 all the way pretty much almost to 0. And then my left stick maximum is at 80. So basically when I move my stick, it's gonna activate and react a lot quicker than if I had this at, for example, let's say 99. Because I have to go more into the center before it starts hitting and reactivating. Doesn't feel anything insane. Default still feels really nice. I'm going to keep messing around with Black Ops and default, but those are the only two you should be using. If you feel like you've been using default and you're getting less aim assist, then try out Black Ops and see how it feels. And now into the gameplay aspect of Warzone, which is going to be one of the most important settings. There's a new setting here. You can do show more and give lower or increase or leave it the default your aim response curve slope scale. So this will basically weaken it or make it stronger. I've definitely messed around with it and I've lowered it and it feels good sometimes, like even better, but then it feels inconsistent in a way. So I just leave it at 1, but hey, the setting's there if you want to mess around with it. And this is on 1, instant off, target aim assist on, of course, aim assist type Black Ops. This is another interesting setting. So even on MW3, it feels like you get less aim assist. It feels like they weakened it just a little bit. And with Black Ops, it makes it feel like the aim assist puller, it pulls a little bit stronger. So I like Black Ops. So basically when I move my stick, it's gonna activate and react a lot quicker than if I had this at, for example, let's say 99. Because I have to go more into the center before it starts hitting and reactivating. So I like to put this lower to 80. My right stick minimum, it's usually by default, it's like 5 or 10. Lowest, 5 is a good place to be. If you can drop it a little bit, 3, 4, 2, you can definitely mess around with it. I feel like if you can get used to it, it makes your aim a little bit better. You have more control of your stick. Now, people say, oh, but I get stick drift. When you're actually playing the game and you're moving your stick around and you're in control of your stick, the stick drift doesn't matter. It's just when you're standing still and doing absolutely nothing. But if you're controlling your guy, if you're moving, you're aiming at something, you're always going to be on control. So you don't really have to worry about stick drift. Display monitor, obviously your monitor. Display adapter, obviously your graphics card. Screen refresh rate is very important. Make sure it's on the right hertz. I have a 240 hertz, so it's on 239. Obviously, make sure it's on the right resolution. I have a 1440p monitor. Aspect ratio automatic. This is what a lot of the pros play. Warzone, it does benefit a little bit on higher senses sometimes. So you see people play on 7, 8, 9. Usually the highest I'd recommend is like 8. But if you do go higher, then you definitely want to lower your ADS sensitivity multiplier. So for example, if I do 8 and I do 0.75, it's basically ADSing on 6. So it's going to help me shoot straighter when I'm ADSing. You don't have to go all the way down. If you think you can handle 0.8, then you can do 0.8. But I would really recommend between 6 to 8 sensitivity for really good centering and consistent aim. Slide dive behavior. Now, this is an interesting topic because slide only makes your slide cancel technically a little bit better. And on MW3, that's all I was using because you really didn't need a dive. But what I will say is in Warzone, diving, I think, will come in handy. And you will see it being used a lot more. Warzone 2, all people did was dive because sliding wasn't as effective. But now with slide canceling back and sliding being really good, I think tap the slide is going to be the wave where you're still going to utilize a dive. You're going to click in your stick to dive, but you're not going to do it as much. So tap the slide is probably going to be the answer here. Plunging underwater, do free. Parachute auto deploy, make sure this is off. This means you have complete control of your parachute. Shadow lighting, low, off, low. This is going to help you a lot with frames. Trust me, you want a lot of these settings off here. Environment, off, max, low, off. Next, FOV, I prefer 120 in Warzone because the higher the FOV, usually the better. You can see more of the map and it gives you less visual recoil as well. So for that reason, I play unaffected, which is going to help you have less visual recoil. Weapon field of view, I personally like wide. It makes the gun look smaller, which I think I can see sometimes more of my screen, and it looks a little bit cooler. Vehicle field of view, just have it on default. Now, it's another thing that's going to help you kind of lower that visual recoil. World motion blur, you definitely want this off. Weapon motion blur off. Automatic tactical sprint is going to be a must. This is going to improve your movement a lot, and it's going to make it easier on you, on your controller, on your hands. This setting is amazing, especially for Warzone where you're running around a lot. Another setting people have tested around, and I've used it before, is single tap run, where instead of having to click your button twice a sprint, you just click it once. It gives you that tactical sprint, which is nice, and it allows you still to walk around if you want to bot walk is what we call it. If you pull this in a little bit more, it's really nice because what it does is it brings everything on your interface inside. So we're talking about mini map, we're talking about ammo, we're talking about, looking at your tacticals, and mini map is, if not, probably the most important thing on your screen. So having that mini map a little bit closer to the center of your screen, it allows you to focus on the game, but also look very quickly on the mini map instead of having to look all the way in the top left. Instead, you can do a quick little glance a little bit lower and see it. So this is a very important thing to understand. So you definitely want to lower that. Also, make sure your minimap shape is on square, not on round. Brightness is a big thing. So by default, it's on 50. I like to have the brightness a little bit higher because there's some areas on the map that can be a little bit dark. Then you want to go down to NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency. I like this on boost, or some people like it on. Don't have this off. You definitely want to use this. Next, VSync gameplay. Make sure the VSync is off. This will hurt your frames. The VSync menu off. Custom frame rate. I like to have this on unlimited. Focus mode 90, and make sure your high dynamic range HDR is off. Next, quality. Render resolution obviously on 100. Dynamic resolution off. Fidelity cast. Now, when you put it on fidelity cast, you can do show more, and you can increase the strength of this. I like to have it between 90 to 100. This is going to make your game look a lot more sharper and clear. Yes, it does hurt your frames a little bit, but in my opinion, it's worth it. VRAM scale, I have this on 80. I have this on. I have this on off, and this is for the 40 series. And the reason I have this off is because it was causing lag in my game and giving me random packet bursts. So if you're dealing with that and you're having that issue right now, you definitely want to try this off. Texture resolution normal. Texture filter low. Depth of field off. High. Bullet impacts on or off. I have it on for fun, but you technically want it off. Off. Low. Off. Normal. For the shadow and lighting, low. Off. Low. This is going to help you a lot with frames. Trust me. You want a lot of these settings off here.